Hey everybody, it's Bust with Battles with Bust number 562, and today we're doing battle with Jayce Vex. And so I'm sure you see Jayce Shadow Isles and assume that we're playing some kind of Heimerdinger Jayce clone, and while some of the spells are reflective of those decks of old, that's not really what we're getting out of this deck today. To me, there's two real kind of big key concepts to what we're trying to pull off. Number one, this is just another deck based on the stories, right? As I talk about this format, to me, the best cards, the best thing you can do in literally any deck is just play a bunch of stories, and that's what we're bringing to the forefront here with this one. So first and foremost, we have the Candlelit Prayer. This is the updraft one. You updraft at level 1, you updraft at level 2, and then you just draw a card at the end of level 3. The other one to call out is the Beautiful Disaster. This one has the removal spell at level 1 to where you kill an ally with 5 or less total power and health. At level 2, you get a drain on the enemy nexus, and then at level 3, you summon an exact copy of an ally. And so the kind of grand scheme that we have with this deck is it does do a lot of control deck kind of stuff because we want these landmarks to sit on the board and activate turn after turn. If you used to play Magic, this is what you would typically see out of like a Super Friends or Planeswalker control type of deck, to where you try to get maybe 3 Planeswalkers on the board, and you know that if the game just drags on and you get to activate them turn after turn after turn, that you're just going to win the game. And so that's piece one that we're trying to kind of pull off here. You do get double duty out of a lot of these cards, and so things like Eradication and Ruination do work fantastically with the landmarks. If we blow up the unit or blow up all the units off of the board, these landmarks are going to sit behind, and so that's kind of neat and cool. But the things to really call out with this deck and what I think this actually is a burn deck. And so one of the things that really ties the room together here is going to be Ballistic Bot. I think it was a humongous mistake to add Ballistic Bot back to the standard format. To me, this is why whenever there's an invitational, you don't do bullshit like let someone pick a card to take out of standard and then let someone else pick a card to put back into standard. That's just obnoxious to me. This is why you always see within the space of an invitational, somebody gets to create a card. And so it's not only cool in the sense that that person got to design a card in their favorite game, it carries their likeness, but it gets to be kind of balanced for the cards that are coming in through the current format. And here with Ballistic Bot, like, I'm not throwing to throw shade at the dude that did whatever at the Invitational to get this. This is more of a problem with Riot, is to where they're just like, oh, cool, we're taking this card that was deemed too strong for standard. We had to nerf it. We kicked it to Eternal, where we took it back up to its original state, where it could come out and live and handle in a format that's a little more high powered. And then they just shipped it right back to fucking standard without sending it back down to 0 health. And so it's completely stupid to me that they would come in and do something like that. But we're going to try and take advantage of the Ballistic Bot today. And so the bot does work fantastically with both of our landmarks. You can say play a Ballistic Bot on turn 2, then roll into turn 3 and play the Candlelit Prayer, updraft away that Ignition. And so we essentially just get a free card draw for the turn, and then we'll get the Ignition later on in the game for free. Very nice thing going in there. And then as we do have the capabilities to cast multiple Ignitions off of the Ballistic Bot, we can get a Drain out of the Beautiful Disaster as another nice chunk of burn damage. We have these nice ways to really kind of whittle down the opponent without putting too much work into it. But we do have some big and fantastic ways to deal damage. Vex is a very challenging champion to block, so you will find in many of these games that Vex just deals 5 damage to the opponent and then trades for another card. Absolutely fantastic deal. Love everything to do with that. And then the big thing that this deck is able to do is if we get this level 3 on the Beautiful Disaster. So we summon an exact copy of an ally, it's ephemeral, and it gets +1/+1. And so we have some awesome hits to cover off with that. We can copy Albus Pharos so that we get to deal the big attack blast twice, right? You don't care that your unit's a 1/1 when it's just dealing 7 damage to the opponent's nugget, and so very powerful copy in Albus Pharos. You can copy champions with this, so we can copy Jayce. If Jayce is flipped, you do get that additional copy of the spell, and so let's just imagine that we have a flipped Jayce on the board. We activate level 3 off the Beautiful Disaster, and then we cast Shock Blast, right? That's going to be 3 Shock Blasts coming out, dealing 9 damage to whatever is on the board. You can also hit other neato things off of units like Pharaoh's Fancier, to where, say, you hit a True Shot Barrage, right? Then you could triple copy the True Shot Barrage, hit for whatever that is, 18 damage off of one big burst. Big collection of damage that comes out of this thing. And so, that's the angle that this deck is really looking to take, right? There are going to be games to where we just grind our opponents out with removal. We grind them out with card advantage, and that's fine. But the way that we're realistically looking to win these games is we're going to deal like 3 damage with the Ballistic Bot. We're going to deal 2 damage with the Beautiful Disaster. We're going to deal 5 damage with Vex, and then we're going to cast like a triple Shock Blast and just kill the opponent from there. And so it does have this kind of combo control element to it. To where we don't really need to attack, but that's not to say that we can't attack effectively. And so that's it. That's the deck. That's what we're doing battle with today. Let's jump on in, see if we can't burn somebody out, see if we can't have a good game or two. Good stuff, good stuff. We'll try to get a few games in. We'll make this video like 30 to 45 minutes. These games do tend to last a little bit longer, and so I don't want to be like, yeah, we're playing 5 games today. You're welcome to being here for an hour and 45 minutes. And so we'll try and let that go and let that slide. Now, interesting start here, right? We do have this Ballistic Bot, Candlelit Prayer, very card advantage heavy start. But we are up against Norra, and so we're kind of tempted to hang on to Eradication as well. I think I'm just going to send away the Vex, and then if opponent gets in 1 hit with Norra, I think that's okay. And we can just build up from there. So we can try and get the Ballistic Bot on board, we can get the Candlelit Prayer going, cycle out some of these ignitions, and then now that we've drawn Jayce, maybe we'll be able to use him to challenge down Norra. And so interesting pickup with the Glare as well. If we just make Norra a 0 attack unit, then it's not nearly as scary. I think I'm trying to think if we should have just passed the turn here. Like if we take a full 3 bank into the next turn, would that have been so bad? I don't think it would have been horrible. We would have been missing out on an ignition, missing out on the opportunity to Candlelit Prayer. But that's not the worst thing in the world, I guess. Alright, so Junk Construct comes down. Not a big deal. We'll challenge it with Reggie. I'm curious what we want here. I'm leaning towards the Progress Day. I guess we do have like a lot of card advantage in hand. It's just like I don't feel like we're ever going to need a card like Dawning Shadow. I don't think their units coming out of Norra Vex are going to be big enough to worry about. And so the Shock Blast is somewhat tempting as a removal spell. Maybe we just go in with the Shock Blast. I just like, look at this hand that has... Sure. This hand that has double Glare Candlelit Prayers in it. And I have to feel like that if we want to... draw some cards, we're going to have plenty of time to do so. All right, let's see what Vex can do. All right, that's not like when opponent paused, I was like, oh, maybe this will be a good pass, but no, him getting a full 3 bank into the next turn is not going to be that good of a deal. One of the things that I think is pretty interesting that you'll find with this deck is the removal spell landmark, right? This can put your opponent in a pretty weak spot on turn 4, as to where you put your landmark on the board, and then they're like, oh cool, I either just have to run a unit directly into a removal spell, or just pass with losing a bunch of mana. And so it's interesting to see how that can pan out. So here's a fresh reason why I really like these Candlelit Prayers in this deck, is it gives us the opportunity to kind of cycle through these cards we don't need. And so, I'm probably still going to hold on to Eradication. Opponent has 2 portals at this point. We could probably clear out some bad units. But like things like Mystic Shot and Glare, we could look to get rid of. I'll get rid of the Mystic Shot in this space, because I kind of think we'll pick up a good Eradication here soon. What do you got? Some dum-dum? Let's see what we can do with Vex. It's another one that just builds nicely into the Eradicated. He doesn't get killed in these kind of spaces, and so he's got the opportunity for strength. A bit of a bummer having Grim come down. I was gonna say, like, this is where you can really see you get those opportunities to just deal 10 damage to your opponent off of Vex. After that, it doesn't take a real ton of work to to get through this. Like, you know, if the opponent's at 10, that's just a couple shock blasts and a Mystic Shot from ending the game. Alright, so how are we gonna do here? It's kind of tough. I want to cast as many spells as we can. We're gonna be too far away from, like, shrinking the Grim. Fine. Get out there and do your thing, Mariam. Alright, so there's the last active portal with the Mana Soul Student. You know, this is a reasonable board that we can come in and just clear out. We don't have to worry about getting burned out here. If we want to eradicate, we can. But we did pick up Albus Pharos, which is kind of interesting. Let's just draw our card first. Nothing wrong with just drawing a card, right? Well, opponent is kind of done for the turn.
Industry and vision, the twin pillars of Piltover.
Got to imagine the opposing deck has some kind of just real removal spell for Albus. He's going to be free to attack, it seems. He's got 6 mana behind. I mean, you typically don't want to let Albus just attack. The scary thing with Albus isn't his 6 attack quick attack, right? It's that damage he can do directly to your Nugget. So he's got the Vengeance. He really wants to be dropping the Vengeance now.
A slight adjustment.
And Shadow. Okay. I got to imagine what we're going to end up doing here is we're just going to attack with Albus, and then he's going to play Vex, and then we'll look to we'll look to just play the Ruination. I think we can cycle through this reasonably enough. I mean, we have kind of a free play in the Candlelit Prayers. It doesn't look like we're just out here slow rolling the things that we can do. And then so maybe he'll play another unit, and we'll get to say, LOL, watch this. Watch this fun card come out and about. So I don't think you can just updraft and then pass, right? That's kind of like the burst pass thing, to where the opponent could just send it back to us and we would overbank all of that mana. And so I think that we are stuck playing it there, but this is fine. We can just take this little hit. If he doesn't open on us and we get to play Eradicate, that's going to be huge. Let's see where we can get. Okay. People out here trying to be lame with their with their early birds. No thanks. No thanks. What do we got turning up with this? A Carved Blade Twirler. I'd like to spend some of this mana. Let's just go ahead and drop it and see if we can't draw into something useful. We're going to be updrafting here as well. Albus Pharos is a big boy. He can help get some work done. Piercing Darkness, definitely feeling good about our health total at this point. It's that, the Sea's voice. Alright, we'll draw our card, good stuff. We'll use the Beautiful Disaster, that feels nice. Get that drain in, drop our opponent to 10. Then I think we'll just be deploying old Albus. Maybe not. The problem with playing Albus in this turn is it's a real bummer for our mana.
There's nothing a little ingenuity can't fix.
And if we add in Jayce, we can start double shock blasting if that's going to be the case. And this is what I was pretty certain was about to happen. And that if he just has a big removal spell, then we can still follow up with the secondary Jayce. We can pick up the third one out of our deck next turn with Albus, and then we can look to do a copy onto Albus a couple of turns from now.
Let's get started.
So I think this is all well and good. I don't think we're that close to dying. Like, if he plays a removal spell onto Jayce and open attacks, it's only 7 damage.
Can't a Yordle just brood in peace?
Are we dead? Vengeance changes that story.
Everything is awful. You're welcome.
Do you feel her presence?
Do we even have to do it, though? Like, what if we just say block with Jayce and then Mystic Shot the Junk Construct? And then we just look to start adding Albus. Like, the thing that's kind of clouding my judgment is our ability to double up one of these removal spells. And so if we do drop a double Piercing Darkness, it's going to be tough for him to recover from, but... Three, that leaves us with the 7. I think we can just drop on Jayce.
Step aside. Tomorrow has never looked so.
Oh shit, he wasn't even flipped. I guess we weren't going to be doubling any spells. So that's kind of nice, I guess.
Check.
At last, the abyss.
The future is what I make it.
Let's see if he's got the answers here. Albus is looking to slam for 5. We have a lot of options with this next turn, right? We can use the Beautiful Disaster to copy Albus. We can copy Jayce. I'm curious which angle we want to go about it with. It's like if we open with Albus, we get to deal 5, and then if we pick up a just cheap burn spell, we can close out the game that way, so that'll be a thing to kind of consider. One of the things that is pretty interesting with the Beautiful Disaster is you can find yourself, say, putting Jayce on the board, copying Jayce, and then playing 3 copies of Acceleration Gate. So even if all of your units on board suck, they become very good very quickly when they get 3 hits of the Acceleration Gate attached to them.
Albus, you wanted to see me?
Let's see how this shakes out.
See what you're doing with the Pharaoh's
He
fortune.
puts a glare onto Albus, so I would think that means he's about to hit us with a what's that gloom guy? The dude that Grim?
Work or wither.
So let's just hit. He's gonna block with both of the junk constructs, but then we're going to be able to copy Jayce and then Piercing Darkness and gain. If he plays, well, we're going to be limited to 1 Piercing Darkness, aren't we? Maybe that was sloppy. Like I like to get in my head that you can play him and you're going to get all the drains, but if you kill the unit with the first hit, you're not going to get it that way.
Replicating the power spike.
Right, if we kill this Norra, say, with the first Piercing Darkness, we get the full 5 health, but the second one doesn't really cast. I think we're still okay here. I could have thought that through a little better. It's like I just assumed that we were going to use the Beautiful Disaster and it was going to fail.
Bureaucrats.
Oh shit, we should have doubled up on formula. Whoops. I don't know why anybody comes to the Slop Fest anymore. Why even bother, huh? Why even bother?
Give me progress, Regina. or you'll
Alright, I think we're there now.
We're on track, Mr. Pharaohs, as promised.
So he's not done anything just yet. We can attack with Albus and just get the kill. If that doesn't piece itself together, then we do have 7 damage of burn in hand. Yeah. So yeah, this is probably a mistake with the Beautiful Disaster. We should have been able to get something in there a little bit earlier. Is Puzzling Signpost still in this format? I don't know. We won't run out all the burn spells right away. We'll take it just a little bit slower. But that should be enough. GG, well played. Nice little slop fest from old Bust. As usual, as usual. But not a bad start. Collecting a victory, marking it a W. It's my favorite thing to do on a Saturday, you know? But that was good. I think we got to show like a lot of the purpose of the deck there in the early game, to where we had the Ballistic Bot and the Candlelit Prayer combo. We had a Eradication with 2 landmarks on board. We got to show off the removal spell landmark with both Jayce and Albus, right? You can kind of piece together how good that stuff can be, and so not a bad start there. I'll kick off with the Ballistic Bot here. I got to assume that we're going to see a bit of aggression coming out of the opponent, right, playing Jinx, Sion, Teemo. This should just be some kind of discard aggro deck, and so I wanted to keep a hand that was capable of dealing with some of this stuff in the early game, and I feel like we've kind of gotten there. We'll use Mariam to get rid of the ignition out of this hand so we can get a blocker on board.
Get to work. Watch your backs. Behind ya.
Interesting. He doesn't attack with ballistic, or doesn't hook with the flame chompers. This attack does not seem right. Should be able to hook the ballistic bot with the flame chompers so that all of your units don't die. And then this way he just lost 2 really high quality units. Didn't even take our ballistic bot off the board. Now Eradicate turns up, so it should be safe with Jayce. I'm going to go for the Challenger version. I'm curious as to what opponent's going to start reacting with here. Let's just pass on this. We lose the ignition, but he doesn't get to add anything to the board. And now we have this big potential to really hit with an Eradicate. So I think I feel pretty good about that. We could look to even just Shock Blast with this other Jayce that we have in hand. Because if we Eradicate, we do lose out on our ballistic bot. I think I'm okay with that. With the Shock Blast. We just need to not die. Right, he's only got 2 mana behind to add more units to the board now. Testing. And then we can still block on this board pretty effectively with Jayce. Sure.
We all must do as we are bid, my boy.
So let's just work on not dying, right? It would be nice to get the value out of this ballistic bot, but let's be real. We've got double Formula, double Candlelit Prayer, and Albus Pharos in hand. If we just have a little bit of time to fight through this stuff, we're gonna be okay. And so I'm gonna just start praying. Let's drop in the prayers. I'm gonna look to Eradicate this guy. See if we can't just get a big removal on this board. I just wonder if we can ever pass here and him. I guess this is a believable pass, right, with Jayce?
Powering up.
Because these aren't really high quality units for Jayce to be attacking into. Let's see if he adds anything else in here now. No. Still feel pretty good about this Eradicate.
Rules are made to be broken.
No, thank you.
For people.
So we do still have to worry about the likes of a Sion turning up or something, but I feel pretty good in this space, right? He's down to 2 cards. We got everything that one could ask for. We're about to start cycling through our deck pretty reasonably. I think we're in tip-top shape here. So let's see. Let's draw that card. The Ignition turns up. This is a free one. We can updraft it away if we want. I don't think I'm quite ready to get Albus on board. Let's add the Pharaoh's Fancier in. I wanted to see if we would find a Piercing Darkness or a Vengeance. That didn't turn up. It's okay.
Just you and me, Fishbones. And them.
Oof. That's how the pros do it right there. I don't know. That's probably a space to where we definitely shouldn't have dropped below 6, right? So that we could threaten this Jinx as she comes down. It's one of the few ways that we can actually lose this game. But just having Jayce right on top of our deck makes up for a lot. Okay.
Let's get started.
This is the spot to where I would go Ultra Rage mode in days of old, because you know opponent's just going to draw Jinx right off the top of their deck. It was always the most annoying shit to have that happen. Let's see, let's get rid of a formula. I'm ready to get Albus Pharos on board.
Industry and vision, the twin pillars of
We did just pick up an Eradicate, so a good chance we can just eradicate his board away next turn. And be pretty close to lethal at that point. We'll just stick with Challenger Jayce. If he plays another...
Can't decline an invitation from Albus Pharos.
Sure. If he plays another, like, Jinx, we want to be able to take her off of the board. Let's drop in Albus. I'm going to send away probably just the formula. We're getting real close to finishing this game off. It's like I don't hate the idea of having the Beautiful Disaster around. Like, picking up the drain off of it could be relevant. And so I don't think we ever need the card draw here from something like Improvise, so we'll just send it away. Very close to the lethal, right? We've got 5 burn in hand. Albus will do the work on his own a couple of turns from now. And then if something really goes out of order here, we kept that Sputtering Song Spinner to potentially random into a stun or something. I don't know what's within the Song Spinner kit now that we've hit a rotation, but had a chance there. All right, let's get one more battle in, one more game. I know 3's a little bit short, but these games do last a while, and so you'll get your fill. You'll get your taste. All of that bust you needed for your day. It's coming. It's coming right through. It's been pretty good stuff with this, though, right? With it, I'm trying to think how much combat damage we've actually dealt. I know we did hit once with Vex. That's the kind of burn spell I like. We might have hit a little bit with Albus, but then the game usually just feels over at that point. So what was this? Ashe? Is this Yetis? I think this is typically Yetis. So I'll hang on to the Ballistic Bot. Look for some of our more early game stuff here. Piercing Darkness might have been okay. Like, I'm not certain if we really have any better answers to a unit like Ashe. I guess we could say that we were digging for Shock Blast.
Flesh was weak, but look at me now. Progress.
Get in there, Ballistic Bot. The Janna decks have to just be loving this, right? I've played against Nyla Janna once since the rotation, but I have to imagine that they are pretty happy to have Ballistic Bot and the Candlelit Prayer turning around. So a bit of a bummer there. Can't handle the Rhymefang Wolf. One of the interesting things to call out with this little combat here is if we do pick up the 4 mana landmark, he does now have a 5 total unit, right? He lost that point of health in combat there, and so we do get a little bit stronger in our ability to take these units down due to the combat. Speaking of the devil, do we want to go for the Beautiful Disaster? My concern here is all right, we're going to have to go for it here. There's 2 things here. My concern is that we play a unit like Vex and he just has the Frostbite, which doesn't feel good. She's just going to die to whatever in combat. But then we did run into this spot, right, as to where if opponent passes, that is so painful to where they're overbanking like 4 or 5 mana. And so that feels like a real win for us. Not expecting Legion Marauder to be on today's bingo card.
Look what I... Come on, boys!
So do we get to pass with these? Like, when this comes down at focus speed, like, I'm not certain how that works. It does put a skill on the board, but it's strange.
Sharpen the blades.
Get that guy out of here. Trifari and Glory Seeker is very manageable. Leveling it up. It's going to go for the big kill on the next attack, right? Try and get these things up to can't block. Not certain why else he would go for it that way. But let's drop Vex. He has some interesting stuff that could happen here as he's staring down a Trifari and Glory Seeker. He just has a absolutely fantastic attack into this stuff. We could potentially look to make a copy of Vex here just to get that extra point of gloom on the board. I don't hate it. So what I'm kind of propositioning here is say that we just go ahead and glare away the Glory Seeker, and then we copy Vex. The 2 attacks with Vex will turn these into 3/2s, so then Vex will survive the combat going into next turn. I think I'm okay with this. Well, let's be real. If we just get to trade Vex here, that feels pretty good.
You're welcome.
And we're probably not blocking next turn as it is.
Witness perfection, meatbags.
And this is a slow speed with the captivated audience, and so we can't, let's say, like burst a blocker on board before we try and get involved in this combat.
You should have plenty for all of us. Pitiful.
Seems good. Just come out and not die. Getting very close to lethal as well, right? If we pick up another Jayce,
I'm here.
then we can potentially triple Shock Blast next turn. So we'll have to see how that ends up looking. Oh, fam, get the highlight reel ready. Call the shot. Let's see if we can't do this. Send it straight from the top ropes. The triple Shock Blast coming right through. I don't know about you, but I'm aroused right now. And so it feels pretty good. It's gonna pop. It's gonna pop. Uh-oh. Uh-oh, fam. Throw out a little laser kitty, throw out a little triple shock blast. GG, fam. That's the stuff right there. Glad we got to pull it off in the final game. That feels pretty good. Pretty good. And so, good stuff. Let's pull this deck up, talk about it a little bit more. I feel like that was a nice little primer into what you can get happening with this deck. And so again, it does have that big removal pile aspect to it that you get out of a lot of these Jayce Shadow Isles based decks, but I think it's safe to say that we didn't really grind that hard in any of these games. I guess it's safe to say that maybe against the Jinx deck, that's just all you're really going to have the time to do, and so you're playing so defensively that it does feel like you're playing that classic Jayce Shadow Isles Ultra Control type of deck, but at the end of the day, most of your games are going to come down with winning through burn. And I think that that's what we really showed and executed with here in this one. Like in that last game, when did we ever deal combat damage, right? Did he take 5 from Vex maybe? Like we attacked with Vex and he took a 5 hit there. But I don't think we actually dealt a point of combat damage otherwise. And Vex is surprisingly good at attacking in combat with the Fearsome and the Gloom ability. And so, that's a really interesting thing to be pulling off here. You get the incidental damage with the Ballistic Bots, the incidental damage with Vex, the incidental damage with the Beautiful Disaster, and then you find yourself in these spots to where 1 Albus Pharos attack and 2 Shock Blasts are enough to finish off the game, and you're just like, oops, I won. Oops, I did it. Came through and picked up a little bit of victory there. So good stuff. That was a lot of interesting things happening out of this one. So all right, I had fun with that. I hope you did too, because that is going to do it for us today. So I hope everyone enjoyed the video. Hope you maybe learned a thing or two along the way. You had a good time watching. This is Busted Me. Thank you for being here.